Utpal Bora ji and all the respected participants who joined us from across the world. On behalf of our institute, MMICTVM MCA, Honorable Principal Professor Dr. Sumit Mittal ji, and the entire management of Maharishi Markandeshwar Deemed to University, Mulana, I, Arvind Sharma, Professor Assistant, welcome you all in this International Research Orientation Program on Day 4. Agenda for the discussion in today's deliberation is research ethics and integrity. There are several reasons why it is important to adhere to ethical norms in research. Firstly, to promote the aim of research such as knowledge, truth, and avoidance of error. Secondly, since research often involves a great deal of cooperation and coordination among many different people in different disciplines and institutions, ethical standards promote the value that are essential to collaborative work such as trust, accountability, mutual respect, and fairness. Third, many of the ethical norms help to ensure that the researcher can be held accountable to the public. Fourth, ethical norms in research also help to build public support for research. People are most likely to fund a research project if they can trust the quality and integrity of research. So, without taking much of your important time, I would like to introduce you all with our guest of the session, Dr. Utpal Bora ji. Dr. Utpal Bora is performing as professor in biosciences and bioengineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. He pursued his doctorate in biotechnology from Institute of Genomics, Biology, India in year 1999 to 2006. He received MSc in Agricultural Biotechnology from Assam Agriculture University, Jorhat. Dr. Bora has around 100 publications in reputed journals, conferences, and many patents in his basket. His research group focuses on a very innovative area with exploiting our indigenous biomaterial cell to develop various scaffolds for tissues, engineering, and medical applications. Sir, it gives me a tremendous pleasure to introduce you and have you with us today in this deliberation. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, sir, I would like to hand over the session to you. Please take over. Thank you. It's not that bad. Microsoft.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are
Hello.
audible in very well manner. Kindly present.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Arvind Kumar Sharma. Am I correct in pronouncing your name?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I have uploaded my PowerPoint. Is it visible to the
Sir, kindly
audience?
pin your PowerPoint presentation and it will be visible clearly to everyone.
Yeah, it is visible now.
It's visible, but sir, it's small in size. Kindly pin on your presentation.
Okay. You have to help me. How to do that?
Sir, first of all, go to present now to the bottom right
Present
corner.
now I have. Yes.
Share entire screen and share.
Pardon me?
Sir, first present. Go to present now.
Present now I have done already. Yes.
But sir, your screen is not visible. Maybe you can try once again.
Resume your presentation. Is it visible now?
Yes. Now it's going to visible, sir. It's going to visible. Yes, sir, it is visible.
Size is okay or small?
Size is okay, but you can go to slide mode if you want to go.
I will go to slide mode. This is fine.
Fine, sir. It's very well fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Arvind. A very good afternoon to all the participants of this webinar. Am I also audible to all the participants?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah. So I am very pleased to know that various dignitaries of Maharishi Markandeshwar University is also present in this webinar. I wish all of you in the very beginning a very happy Lakshmi Puja today. Today is the day when the goddess of wealth is being worshipped, particularly in Eastern India. Uh, so I first of all thank the organizers for inviting me to present this talk on research ethics and integrity. So before I start this, I was in a hurry a little bit. So Dr. Arvind, can you tell me the composition of the audience over here? They are mostly faculty members or research students?
Sir, they are both faculty members and research scholars, and they are
Okay, thank you.
available. They are available on Google Meet as well as on YouTube and Facebook. I mean, on three different
Okay,
platforms
thank
they are
you.
listening to you.
Right. Okay, thank you. So, so let me start this topic, research ethics and integrity, which is actually the most important thing before one embarks on a research career. So, research methods and research techniques are important set of skills, uh, which are kind of, most often very what do you call it, hard skills. But research ethics and integrity is some kind of soft skills which you have to build in your whole character, and it is actually one of the toughest thing to do so. But also at the very same time, it is actually not that tough to be ethical and having integrity. So before I go to what is exactly research ethics and what is integrity in doing research, let me present to you the common definition of ethics, which I have taken from the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, repository. So ethics is defined in its simplest forms as a system of moral principles. Okay, and so this is a very kind of fluidic definition in a way. Morality again is a very complex thing. It may set of moral values may differ from culture to culture, from country to country, or belief system to belief system. But for scientists, these moral principles regarding ethics would be more or less same. In fact, it has to be universal because science is above religion, above custom, above community, and all other different kinds of arrangements in this world. So research ethics ethics generally affect, in general, even if you're doing science or not, it is always good to have a set of ethics. So they affect how people make decisions and live their lives. Okay, you want to live a ethical or unethical life, that is how these set of moral values would govern. Ethics is concerned with what is good for individuals and society, and is also described as a moral philosophy. This term is derived from a Greek word ethos, which means custom, habit, character, or disposition. And as you can see from the root of this word, it's a habit. You have to build it up. It's a custom. It's a kind of a tradition that you have to continue. It is part of your character that you have to imbibe. Ethics covers various dilemmas: how to live a good life, our rights and responsibilities. Each and every of these dilemmas are relevant to science as well. The language of right and wrong, moral decisions, what is good and what is bad. Our concepts of ethics have been derived from religions, philosophies, and cultures, as I have already told you. They infuse debates on topics like various things like abortion, and these can be political issues as well, not only just issues of religion and morality, human rights, and professional conduct. So, in our discussion today, our focus is on the last thing, the professional conduct. The other things we leave aside to political systems to decide, judicial systems to decide. But as a scientist, when we speak about ethics, what should be the professional conduct? That is what I'm going to discuss in brief to you today. It's a very vast subject. It may not be possible to cover each and every dimension of the topic, but I would like to try to present to you some of the most important issues which are related to research ethics as well as integrity. Now, when you go to integrity, what do you mean? What do we mean by integrity? It may be known to you what integrity is. It is also pertain. It also pertain to characters of human beings, and they define it as the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles that you refuse to change. Right. So even if somebody tempts you or lures you with some kind of a reward to compromise on your integrity, you are not going to change your moral principles related to this. So the introduction, uh, I, I I am trying to tell you that ethics and integrity, more or less, they are two sides of the same coin. In fact, you cannot separate them from each other. So wherever there will be loss of integrity, probably there will be some kind of a loss of ethics, and vice versa. And wherever the integrity is strong, the ethics is also going to be strong. And when you have your set of ethics, followed very strongly, probably your integrity will remain intact. So this makes it quite easy for us to have a good set of ethics and to be having high integrity while doing science. So integrity also related to someone's high artistic standards or standards of doing their job, and that person's determination not to lower those standards. This is very, very important. As a scientist or as a researcher or even as a teacher, you're not going to lower your professional standards. So these two definitions, we can see the professional, conduct is the most important aspect on which we are going to have some kind of discussion today. So fine, we now know what is ethics, and we now know what is integrity, right? And their applications in conducting scientific research is what we can simply define as research ethics and integrity. But why are they important? I mean, why we should follow research ethics? There are certain reasons why we should uh, follow research ethics. Dr. Sharma, while giving me a pleasant introduction of me, was emphasizing on knowledge and truth and ethical standards. Now, these are very, very important points which he have issued, which he has, deliberated upon. So I'm going to speak a few things regarding truthfulness, regarding the, knowledge and ethical standards. So the importance of the research ethics is that, number one, they promote the aims of research, such as expanding knowledge. So when we are trying to expand knowledge, or we are trying to, distribute knowledge, it has to be, truthful. If we are spreading false lies, then we are actually doing disservice to society. The research ethics support the values required for collaborative work. In fact, I am quite impressed. Dr. Sharma, he deliberated upon this angle as well, how important it is for the collaboration that we do in research. So here, mutual respect and fairness is the most important ingredient. And if any of these are missing, then there is some kind of loss of the research ethics. And they are essential because scientific research depends on collaboration between researchers and groups. And they mean that researchers can be held accountable for their actions. Many researchers are supported by public money, or of course, even corporations sometimes fund research, but that does not mean that there should be no any ethics in the research which are being conducted for corporations. And here, regulation on conflicts of interest, misconduct, and research involving humans or animals are necessary to ensure that money is spent appropriately. Okay, they ensure that public can trust research. For people to support and fund research, they have to be confident in it. They support important social and moral values such as the principles of doing no harm to others. Okay. Okay, so let us go to a topic which is actually related with research ethics. We call it research misconduct. But before defining what is research misconduct, let me rule out what is not research misconduct. Sometimes some people commit some errors, but those errors are actually not deliberate. People have not planned about it. People have not, conspired to do such kind of errors. So those errors we define as honest errors. Okay, so it may happen to anybody in this group or anybody in this world. Number one. Another thing is differences of opinion. A group of scientists may have a set of opinion, and that opinion they may have derived after conducting certain research based on some data and a set of evidences. But another group may give altogether a different view, which may be 180-degree opposite to it, or largely based on the same set of data, but they look into it in a different way. So that's why they have a difference of opinion. These two things, the honest error and differences of opinion, should not be considered as research misconduct. In fact, what are the various dimensions or aspects of misconduct? Number one is fabrication. Okay. Second one is the falsification. The third one is the plagiarism. So these three are the main culprits which contribute towards a research misconduct. Okay, before I proceed, I would like to request the participants, if they have some questions in their mind in between, they can always stop and raise that question. I would like to answer it if it is possible within my capacity. Otherwise, since I consider this as a group discussion, others in the people group also can contribute. My whole idea is here to spend some, productive time with you. So before I go ahead, can you, someone please confirm whether you are able to hear me? Am I audible? My voice is still audible to
Yes, sir,
you?
you're audible and your
Yeah.
PPT is also visible, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. So I will
it
keep
is
on checking this from
audible.
time to time if I don't hear any, sound from the other side, because the webinars are good in many ways, but you have a lot of disadvantages, and then we need to keep on verifying from time to time whether my message is being received on the other side. So what is fabrication? This is making up data or results and recording or reporting them, right? I don't need to explain this perhaps. Falsification is manipulating research materials or changing or omitting data or results such that the research is not accurately represented in the research record. Plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. Okay, so this plagiarism is a little bit of complex topic. We will not have much time to really discuss on each of these topics in length: fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism, right? But I will try to deal with them a little. The plagiarism is, of course, you see, you need to do a lot of literature review and also mention them in your research manuscripts or review papers. So there are certain guidelines which tells while doing that referencing what is plagiarism and what is not plagiarism. So kindly please go through such kind of guidelines. It also varies from journals to journals and publishing group to publishing group. So it's a very little bit of complex issue in that regard. But that is one part. Another part is that you have quickly, stolen somebody's manuscript, and with little bit of a modification of the language or polishing them, you are claiming that this is your own idea, this is your own research. That, of course, is a little bit much more dangerous. Falsification and fabrication of data. This is perhaps the most blatant and, of course, easy to define, although not always easy to detect instantaneously. But anyway, nowadays with many software and tools available. Falsification and fabrication of data are getting detected. Even the image manipulation, many of you might have heard about it. Some authors using the same set of images again and again by doing some kind of image manipulation. Okay, so these are form of research misconduct, which is investigators' fabrication or falsification of data. Fabrication refers to the invention, recording, or reporting of data. Falsification refers to the alteration of research materials, equipments, protocols, data, or results. Fabrication and falsification are 2 points along a spectrum, but both are serious forms of misconduct because they result in a scientific record that does not accurately reflect observed truth. The piracy and plagiarism, piracy is defined as the unauthorized reproduction or use of ideas, data, or methods from others without adequate permissions or acknowledgement. Again, deceit plays a central role in this form of misconduct. The intent of the perpetrator is the untruthful portrayal of the ideas or methods as his or her own. Plagiarism is a form of piracy that involves the unauthorized use or close imitation of the language, which may be figures, images, or tables, and thoughts of others, and the representation of them as one's own original work without permission or acknowledgement by the author of the source of these materials. Plagiarism generally involves the use of materials from others, but can apply to researchers' duplication of their own previously published reports. This is something you have to be really careful. Once you publish something from your research, you are not supposed to copy it and make it part of another publication or another manuscript. But you can always refer to the earlier publication. That's a different thing. But you should not sell the same idea again and again in the name of new ideas or new manuscripts. So this is actually kind of what we call self-plagiarism, where you duplicate your own previously published report and without acknowledgement. This is, as I am telling you, self-plagiarism or duplicate publication. Now, this website is very, very interesting. In fact, okay. So probably you can see the pointer. I am now scrolling somewhere in the corner of this https ori.hss.gov.content.case summary. So here, this is a research, the Office of Research Integrity. This is the US Department of Health and Human Services database. So here, this you have certain case summaries where it contains cases in which administrative actions are imposed due to findings of research misconduct. The list only includes those who currently have an imposed administrative action against them. It does not include names of individuals whose administrative actions periods have expired. Each case is categorized according to the year in which ORI closed the case. So even in this time of COVID, you can see so many cases have been reported in this Jaiswal and so many Fulford. So you see 2019, 2018, 2017. So if you are interested to know more and more, you can go before 2016, 17, 15, and so on. You'll find all these cases where these are being reported. So what I want to tell, see, if somebody is involved in research misconduct, these things are getting documented somewhere, and the public will come to know. And probably, appearance of these names over here are not a good, thing. This will definitely impact you in some way. How it is going to affect you, I will discuss in one of the slides ahead. Okay, let us quickly go. So, see, what is the burden of misconduct? I mean, research misconduct is very bad. It's a grave crime. But you see, the number is not less. Huge cases of fraud, or the reliability or some kind of error or miscellaneous or possible misconduct, other misconduct. You can see these are classified over here. And from 1997 onwards, the data is being presented over here since 2014. and this is actually increasing. It's not decreasing. Okay, so you see the majority of these retractions have involved scientific fraud, which involves fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. If you remember that red triangle where we discussed the three things, uh, but or other kind of misconduct also included here, such as fake peer review. The people will send it to their own friends, or some people, worse still, they create alternative emails, and they send the paper for peer review to themselves. So these are various kind of misconduct, and as you can see, the number of cases increasing. 1997 retraction 62, fraud 29. By 2014, it's an amazing jump, 946. Okay, and fraud retraction is 946, and fraud has been detected in 411 number of pages, papers, and you can. This is the source of this graphics, the sciencemag.org. Okay, so now I want to show you some other interesting data regarding plagiarism, then flawed images and fake peer review. Okay, so this data again from 1997 to 2018. As you can see, the number is growing. The plagiarism or duplication of text is growing, right? And of course, there is some dip over here in this time around 2014, but again, it is growing up. And people using flawed images, so the data trend remain more or less constant. Initially, there was some kind of jump over here, but nowadays it is remaining constant. But what is going down is the fake peer review. This was initially increasing since 2009 to 2015, but nowadays it has been found that this is going down. The plagiarism of text is stealing someone else's or duplicating one's own work, as you already know. Flawed images occur due to intentional manipulation and of error, of course, sometimes. Fake peer review occurs when authors give journal email addresses that they control for reviewing their own manuscripts. Okay, it may be to a friend or to friends, or even sometimes self, which is the most dangerous one. There is a proportion of retraction involving plagiarism of text seem to have risen due to the introduction of iThenticate 204, an internet-based plagiarism detection service. Nowadays, there are several others, so you may be aware of this. So you see, the tools are also getting developed to detect all this kind of research misconduct, which is a very important development for science. Now, when you look into these kind of uh, research misconduct, say from the point of view of retractions, where retraction is actually basically for those who I believe all of you know what is a retraction. In case you don't know, let me tell you what is a retraction. You published a paper by research in which research misconduct is involved. You have falsified the data. You have done some kind of plagiarism. Okay, then or any other thing which are considered to be research misconduct. So investigations are done sometimes when a third party raises objections that this paper is having all this kind of research misconduct traits. So if in the investigation it is proven that the research team has involved in research misconduct, they have to withdraw the paper. It has to be retracted. Now, that paper will not disappear from the journal issue. Let me tell you, it will remain there, but it will get stamped as retracted, or some kind of message will be there, and even a editor will add a explanatory note why this paper was retracted. Now, from this retraction, this is a kind of an index. Retraction, the number of retractions in a country, is kind of an index which gives us some indication about the level of research misconduct that happens in the scientific world of a particular country. So you can see here the countries with the highest retraction rate this is a retraction rate per 10,000 papers. So in absolute numbers, US and China, they are giants. Okay, they are giants. But when you count the retractions per 10,000 papers published, you will find these are the leading countries. I would not like to take their names. Probably this speech is also getting recorded. So these are bad things to really even discuss about. I hope you can see this slide, friends. Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
See the slide.
Sir, you are
Yeah.
audible.
Yes.
Dr. Sharma, this is visible, right? So I will not
Yes.
read this, but you can find
Yes.
here where is this cursor?
It
Where
is
is
on
this
Indian.
cursor currently? Right. So you see, we are doing quite good, right? Or quite bad? What is your opinion about it? We are doing good or we are doing bad here? From top, we are fourth, right? So I leave that to you to interpret whether we are doing or we are doing bad, right? So you see, China publishes a lot of papers, so that's why their number is less. When you okay, so this is the status of say research misconduct, which is happening globally. Okay, so if you have more interest, you can visit this site, scientific community, and here you read in uh, details about the bad science that is being done in these various countries. Now, when you go to the individual level, that is the data at the country level. Now, who are the famous persons who could be possible entrants in the Guinness Book of World Records? Again, I am not going to read the names, right? You can see here this guy with 169 is the topper. And they are all from the scientific superpowers. You can see Japan, Germany, Netherlands, right? China, United States, South Korea, okay, and so on. So these are big people, and I mean big record. Some people don't even have 32 publications or maybe 169 applications in their entire life, and this guy is having that many number of retractions. So that's the scale of scientific research misconduct committed. Now we are discussing research ethics. So what does you see the level of crime that is being committed in the world of science, the countries, the individuals, okay, and then falsification, forgery of data, fabrication, plagiarism. So these are the crime graphs. You can see these are the crime graphs, okay. So what does research ethics have to do in this context? So research ethics provides guidelines for the responsible conduct of research. We don't want those graphs to be there. The values, we want them to be zero or very, very low. So research ethics educates and monitors scientists conducting research to ensure a high ethical standard. The following is a general summary of some ethical principles. How do you, practice research ethics? I mean, it's very difficult. So we learn it through certain habits or certain concepts. Honesty. I believe all of you are very honest people, and you have to remain as such even doing science. Reporting the research process accurately, taking alternative opinions and counter arguments seriously, being open about margins of uncertainty, refraining from making unfounded claims, refraining from fabricating or falsifying data or sources, and refraining from presenting results more favorably or unfavorably than they actually are. You should not have any kind of bias towards, establishing something or demolishing something. Let science, let data speak for itself. Okay, so that is where you have to be honest. Objectivity. So avoid bias in experimental design, data analysis, data interpretation, peer. Don't start any research with any preconceived bias or expectations. Be detached from all kind of emotions. You are out there to seek what Dr. Sharma was. Pardon me. Pardon me. Hello. Yeah, somebody
Participants, you
speaking
are
something.
requested to please don't interrupt. Your all the question will be taken at the end of the session. Kindly proceed.
Okay, okay. If that is the norm, then that's fine. I will follow that. I think I also I instructed them to ask me questions if they have one. But you are conducting the session. That's fine. Okay. So shall I move ahead? Hello. Hello. Yeah,
Yes,
Dr.
sir,
Sharma,
please move,
am
sir.
I audible?
Please. Yes, sir, please.
Okay. So
Yes, sir,
as
please.
Dr. Sharma was telling in the beginning that you are out there to seek knowledge and seek truth. So you have to avoid bias, okay? And then your personal decisions, don't bring them into your research, lab, grant writing, expert testimony, and other aspects of research. So scrupulousness. This means, among other things, using methods that are scientific or scholarly and exercising the best possible care in designing, undertaking, reporting, and disseminating research. So a lot of people are spreading, old stories, legendary stories. Many of them are full of superstitions. I will not like to tell those stories or to tell those superstitions because it may hurt somebody's sentiment. But I hope you understand what I am trying to tell you. As a scientist, uh, you should think about scientific things. I mean, scientific or scholarly things, not about superstitions or scrupulous things. So if you do that, then your ethics actually will be compromised. Integrity is very important. Uh, which is part of ethics anyway. Keep promises and agreements. You promise something, please deliver on that. Don't run away. Act with sincerity. Strive for consistency of thought and action. Carefulness. Avoid careless errors. See, in the beginning, we told honest errors. Okay, those are not deliberate. So you have to be careful that you don't create careless errors, which may be considered by somebody as honest errors later, but it's better to avoid them. So the only way to do that is to be careful. So avoid careless errors and negligence. It may also arise due to negligence. Carefully and critically examine your own work and the work of your peers. Keep good records of research activities. This record keeping is very, very important. At any point of time when somebody want to investigate into potential research misconduct, if you are able to show the records which were kept meticulously, you will come out, blemishless or spotless from such allegations. Transparency. This means, among other things, ensuring that it is clear to others what data the research was based on, how the data were obtained, what and how results were achieved, and what role was played by external stakeholders. If part of the research or data are not to be made public, the researcher must provide a good account of why this is not possible. It must be evident, at least to peers, how the research was conducted and what the various phases of the research process were. At the very least, this means the line of reasoning must be clear and that the steps in the research process must be verifiable. Another is openness. Many people are too much secretive about their research, but in certain instances, you have to be secretive. Yeah, before patenting or before publishing, you are not supposed to share your data with others until and unless they are your collaborators with whom you have, say, NDA, non-disclosure agreements, or some kind of MOU. But then later on, if somebody wants to check, you have to show your raw data. Okay, But before that, please don't do that, because you need to patent it or maybe publish it. Some people may steal your idea, and then you will not be able to patent or publish. Nevertheless, once those things are taken care of, you have to be very, very open about your research. You have to share your data, your results, your ideas, tools, resources, whatever you are using, and you have to be open to criticism and new ideas. Somebody you put forward an idea and proved it. Somebody came out with an alternative idea, and at the same time also demolished your idea. You have to open. You have to accept it openly. That is how the progress of science happens. So this respect for intellectual property, as I was telling you earlier. So you have to honor patents, copyrights, and other forms of intellectual property. Do not use unpublished data, methods, or results without permission. Okay, even if somebody shares it with you, please have that integrity or honesty. Okay, have that ethics in your character, that you are not going to exploit that. Or okay. And even if you're going to do that, you will take permission from the person. And once the person gives you the permission, you have no problem. You use that. And of course, you mentioned that for using this is not your data. This data belongs to XYZ, but XYZ has given you the permission to use it. So that you should mention in your research manuscript or your publication. You give credit where credit is due. Never plagiarize. Okay, confidentiality, very important. Protect confidential communications such as papers or grants submitted for publication, personal records, trade or military secrets, and patient records. Okay, so a paper comes to you for reviewing. Okay, and as a reviewer, you have started stealing the ideas in the paper, and these many such things have happened. There are stories where Nobel prizes have been, lost or denied because the reviewers have pirated or stolen the ideas. So it's too vast subject to really speak on those, but you will find out those stories. Those who are interested, kindly Google out. You'll find, and even some Indian people lost the Nobel Prize. It is said. Try to find out who is that famous person. Responsible publication. Publish in order to advance research and scholarship, not to advance just your own career. So this is what most of us are doing. Most of the times we are publishing to advance our research career, but not for the advancement of research or even for proliferation of scholarship. Avoid wasteful and duplicative publication. So many people, they want to increase their number of publications in order to enhance their credentials or research profile. So, but he do not have so much of resources in hand in terms of money, in terms of manpower, or in terms of infrastructure. So he is duplicating his research work with some modifications. Please don't do this. You have to be responsible while you publish. Responsible mentoring. Help to educate, mentor, and advise students. Promote their welfare and allow them to make their own decisions. Make them aware about all these issues which we are discussing over here related to research ethics. That will come under responsible mentoring. Respect for colleagues. Respect your colleagues and treat them fairly. Social responsibility. Strive to promote social good and prevent or mitigate social harms through research, public education, and advocacy. So these are all part of your research ethics. Okay, this is a little bit different from the falsification, forgery, and plagiarism. As a researcher, you should have a kind of objective in your life, your social responsibility, how and what it is your research is going to deliver to society. Non-discrimination. Avoid discrimination against colleagues or students on the basis of sex, race, ethnicity, or other factors that are not related to the scientific competence and integrity. These are very, very essential. And as a country where we have underprivileged people and communities, a lot of debate going on regarding reservations. We should be not involved in such kinds of controversies, because these are all granted by the Constitution of India, and we should respect it because it is being approved by the Parliament, and a lot of wisdom has been involved in formulating all those, and so that non-discrimination should be there and we should not look somebody in a biased way or whatever. Okay, the competence. Maintain and improve your own professional competence and expertise through lifelong education and learning. Take steps to promote competence in science as a whole. Legality. Know and obey relevant laws and institutional governmental policies. This is very, very important. You should know and you should obey what are the laws in your institution, and what are the laws by the government, and what are the policies of your institute, and what are the policies of the government say regarding research misconduct or other related issues. Animal care. You will be using, some of you will be using animals in your research. You have to show proper respect and care for animals when using them in your research. Do not conduct unnecessary or poorly designed animal experiments, because you are troubling them. They are also living beings like you and me. So if you are taking animal research as a very fanciful thing, and you are sacrificing animal after animal, but you are not getting the right kind of data because you have not designed your experiment properly, you are actually very unethical. You are involved in research misconduct in this context. Human subjects protection. When conducting research on human subjects, number one, we spoke about the animal care. Now, some of you, particularly doctors and physicians, they will be conducting research on human subjects. They have to minimize harms and risks and maximize benefits. Respect human dignity, privacy, and autonomy, right? You just put yourself as a human subject and one person doing experiment on you. So what do you expect that researcher to do to you? If you're able to answer that question, you will understand this point very easily. Independence. It means, among other things, not allowing the choice of method, the assessment of data, the weight attributed to alternative statements, or the assessment of others' research for research proposals to be guided by non-scientific or non-scholarly considerations. In this sense, independence also includes impartiality. Independence is required at all times in the design, conduct, and reporting of research, although not necessarily in the choice of research topics and research questions. So I will take a small break right now. Okay, very small break I will take. Dr. Sharma. Dr. Sharma. Yeah, I am taking a small break, very small break, 2 minutes break.
Sir, you are not audible right now. Sir, you are not audible right now.
No,
Arjun sir,
yes,
small break.
I asked for 1 minute break, so I'm back from my break.
Okay.
No issues.
Okay, so so my slide is still visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Right. So now we move on to the topic that I told you in the beginning. What would happen if you are involved in research misconduct? What would be the consequences of research misconduct? Now you see, researchers are considered as intellectually illuminated personalities, knowledgeable personalities, and society expects them to adhere to ethical, legal, and professional guidelines while conducting their research work. The consequences that research misconduct can have are considerable and potentially disastrous. Don't think that you will get away by involving in falsification, plagiarism, or some kind of research misconduct. You may have to really pay a heavy price for it. I will tell you what are the research consequences, and maybe towards the end also present 1 or 2 cases regarding people, what happened to them. So research misconduct can irreparably erode trust among colleagues. So if you are involved in research misconduct, your colleagues will lose trust in you, and they will not believe in you any further. It can also erode trust between researchers and funding agencies. So the funding agency will find it hard to, difficult to believe in you in future because you have been involved in research misconduct, which means that your source of funds may soon dry up. And this may make it more difficult for colleagues at the same institution also to receive grants, because you are not only maligning yourself, you are also maligning your institute, and this is also going to impact your colleagues, because people will refer that that particular university, that particular institute has done this, they are involved in research misconduct. So the whole bad name comes to the entire institute, not only just you. More importantly, research misconduct can cause the public to lose confidence in the ability and integrity of researchers. Okay, this is the most annoying part. Instances of research misconduct and abuse of research participants have precipitated the need for establishing research ethics oversight to protect the right and welfare of study participants and the integrity of the research enterprise. In response to such egregious events, national and international regulations have emerged that are intended to protect research participants. Okay, so you see, in spite of all these, people have been involved in research misconduct. So certain things have been evolved to take care of that. So you may have institutional ethics committee, okay, which will look into your research misconduct, and there are also various developments in the national as well as international arena. Okay, research ethics boards or institutional review boards protect the safety and welfare of human research participants. These bodies are responsible for providing an independent evaluation of proposed research studies, ultimately ensuring that the research does not proceed unless standards and regulations are met. Okay, so these institutional bodies will make sure, okay, that certain standards are being maintained and regulations are being complied with. Ethical and legal issues relating to the conduct of clinical research involving human participants have raised the concerns of policymakers, lawyers, sorry, okay, lawyers, scientists, and clinicians for many years. The Declaration of Helsinki established ethical principles applied to clinical research involving human participants. The purpose of clinical research is to systematically collect and analyze data from which conclusions are drawn that may be generalizable so as to improve the clinical practice and benefit patients in the future. Therefore, it is important to be familiar with good clinical practice, an international quality standard that is provided by the International Conference on Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Registration of Pharmaceuticals for Human Use, or the local version GCP of the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, CDSCO. This is the organization in India, which is equivalent to the US FDA, and local regulatory policy to ensure that the research is conducted both ethically and legally. So your institution basically will take care of these kind of regulatory provisions and policy guidelines, and you have to actually follow that. The main role of human participants in research is to serve as sources of data. Now, this is true for social research as well as clinical research, or even psychological research and so on, or even market research. So researchers have a duty to protect the life, health, dignity, integrity, right to self-determination, privacy, and confidentiality of personal information of research subjects. So not just clinical research, somebody is going to the village to find out the socio-economic condition of that particular village or a particular community. So they have to treat those human subjects with dignity, and they have to respect their confidentiality. They should not come and publish their information, confidential information to other people. So there is a Bellman report which provides an analytical framework for evaluating research using 3 ethical principles regarding such issues. Number one is the respect for persons. There is a requirement to acknowledge autonomy and protect those with diminished autonomy. Okay, and then beneficence. First, to do no harm, maximize possible benefits and minimize possible harm. Justice on individual and societal level. So these three things, three ethical principles, should be practiced when you are dealing with human subjects. And this Bellman report provides this analytical framework for such things. So now, this is what you already know. The triangle which depicts research misconduct, which includes fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. One important thing we have been discussing all along, but you may have been missing. But if you're missing, I would like to reinforce this here once again, particularly with reference to the earlier points on from the Bellman report. So you can see there's a fourth dimension to research misconduct, which is mistreatment of research subjects. Okay, now this may be animals or this may be humans. Okay, so we can keep on expanding this figure to a pentagon, but I thought just including one dimension is good enough, which is applicable for both animals and humans, which are basically living beings. Okay, right. Of course, when it comes to animals, there are certain guidelines. If you're conducting certain research on fish, it cannot fall into the category of animal ethics. So those things you have to master on your own. This is too limited time to really go into details of each and every such thing. But just I'm trying to update you. Morality is something very, very relative. So in the animal ethics, they have defined certain animals. You may need not have to take permission, animal experimentation permission. For example, if you work with a poultry or chicken, it is not required probably. But this may vary from country to country. So I'm not going to tell you here exactly what is the norms in India. So as a researcher, whenever it is relevant for you, you will always be able to find out. Okay. Now, what does this mistreatment of research subject means? Okay. There was no ethical review approval for the research proposal, but you have started the research. You have taken the approval, but you have failed to follow the approved protocol. So while presenting it to the ethics committee, you told you will be doing your research in this way, but then when you were doing your research, you followed entirely something else. So you are not adhering to the protocol that has been approved. Absent or inadequate informed consent. This is some kind of, I will tell, epidemic in India. Doctors, medical researchers, and even non-medical researchers, they don't care. The attitude is, okay, we'll get the document signed, the consent form signed, and we have a large number of subjects, human subjects, which are illiterate or not educated, or even the educated ones are not aware, and they sign certain consent forms without even the knowledge. So this is gross misconduct. Okay, so please avoid doing such practice. Exposure of subjects to physical or psychological harm. Okay, I think it is self-explanatory. Under the pretext of research, you cannot harm somebody either physically or psychologically. Exposure of subjects to harm due to unacceptable research practices or failure to maintain confidentiality. So these are various kind of mistreatment of research subjects with respect to humans. I'm not speaking of animals here. Now there are certain actions that constitute mistreatment of research subjects. These are more or less studied, discussed earlier. One thing I would like to highlight over here is the maltreatment of laboratory animals. Okay, so this also is a kind of mistreatment of gross mistreatment of research subject. Now let us go to some kind of historical discussion. So this is a little bit important for those who would be going into medical research or biomedical research where human subjects will be involved, and you are not supposed to do any kind of mistreatment to humans. So many of you may be knowing about the Nuremberg Code and the Declaration of Helsinki or the Declaration of Geneva. They provide a set of ethical principles regarding human experimentation and clinical care. You may have heard about the Nuremberg trials. These were against doctors who committed war crimes in the Second World War. But these Nuremberg trials has a lot of historical value because prior to World War II, there was no internationally accepted statement of ethical principles governing research with human subjects. Okay, and some of these countries like Germany, Russia had their own policies. But after this Nuremberg trial, which was held to prosecute Nazi war criminals, okay, a universal kind of ethical principles were also drawn. So, in brief, this was a trial which was held between 1946 to 1947. Here, 23 individuals were put on trial for committing crimes against humanity. They were all Nazis. So they committed horrific crimes like medical experimentation on concentration camp victims. And as a result of these trials, in 1947, the Nuremberg Code emerged, which is a set of 10 ethical principles that govern research with human subjects. Okay. Now, I will not go into the length and breadth of all these 10-point set of rules. So I leave it to you to find out. This is very easily available. But I'm just trying to tell you the evolution of ethical principles from where all these started. So this is the Declaration of the Helsinki, the World Medical Association. It provides principles for medical researchers to guide the ethical conduct of research involving human participants. This was adopted by the 18th World Medical Association General Assembly in Helsinki, Finland, and in June 1964, and amended many times. So, if you have interest in this, kindly please refer to this document in this website. This Declaration of Helsinki was actually heavily influenced by the Nuremberg Code. Like the Nuremberg Code, the goal of the Declaration of Helsinki was to prevent human subjects from being mistreated. The Declaration of Helsinki provided guidance for physicians who were conducting clinical research and focused on researchers' roles and responsibilities when it comes to protecting human subject. So as a researcher, you have a role and also a responsibility to protect the human subject. And this Helsinki Declaration deals with it. This Declaration of Helsinki is seen as the first major attempt of the medical community to police itself. You see, all this kind of discipline or policing is coming voluntarily. I mean, the doctor community is feeling the need to do it because they have been involved in gross misconduct, right? So this is having a lot of historical importance, and I thought I should make you aware, or you may be already aware about this development. This provided the foundation for later research, ethics, development, and statement. So this is where it all started with the Nuremberg Code, and then the Declaration of the Helsinki Summary, right? And you know the genesis about the World War II Nazi crimes and the Nuremberg trial. And now these documents have been, develop from time to time. And today we have a very mature kind of research ethics, not only in the field of medical sciences, but also other disciplines. So it basically took the 10 principles from the Nuremberg Code and merged them with the Declaration of Geneva, which states that the patient's health is always the doctor's first consideration. The patient is coming to you in despair, he is sick, and he wants some kind of treatment and relief. You, as a doctor, you have to give first consideration to that aspect and not to your interest, personal interest, or it may be also a social interest to conduct research. And the International Code of Ethics, which states that in the circumstances where the physical and mental condition of a patient is impaired, the physician must act only in the interest of the patient, not in the interest of anything else. The Declaration of Helsinki differed from the Nuremberg Code in that it particularly focused on clinical research and it changed the consent requirements. Whereas consent was an absolute requirement in the Nuremberg Code, the Declaration notes that consent should be obtained if possible and allows for a legally authorized proxy to provide consent. That is, a parent or a guardian can also provide consent because the person may be in a coma, and in this case, some guardian or parent can also provide a certain consent on this. They are not going to details of this entire Helsinki Declaration. Briefly, as I was telling you, the Helsinki Declaration took from the Nuremberg Code certain things and also other things from the Declaration of Geneva. This is the World Medical Association Declaration of Geneva. It outlined the professional duties of physicians and affirms the ethical principles of the global medical profession. Okay, so now this is something I would like to end up with, that immature poets imitate mature poets still. Okay, this is with regards to the plagiarism, and these are the words of T.S. Eliot, the famous American poet in the Sacred Roots. And the plagiarism word comes from the Latin word meaning to kidnap. Okay, kidnapping idea. These words described in English. The dramatist conjunction to describe someone guilty of literary theft. Okay, but now this is widespread in science and other disciplines as well. Okay, so here we the science. Many of
Sir, your voice is breaking right now.
Okay. Yeah, can
maybe
you hear now?
network issue.
Can you hear me? Maybe network has gone down. Let me talk. Audible. Audible right now?
No, sir, you are not audible clearly. If possible, sir, kindly rejoin if possible.
I can join, no problem.
Sir, it's okay now. It's okay now, sir. It's okay now. It's okay now.
Okay. Shall I? Hello, sir, am I audible now?
Sir, again, sir, breaking. Sir, kindly rejoin, sir.
I will.
Kanji, sir, kindly rejoin, sir, please.
Or you lost your connection trying to.
Sir, at my end, everything is okay. Okay.
Hello, hello. Am I audible right now?
Yes, sir, you're audible now, sir. Very well
Better?
audible, sir.
Oh, better. Okay. Sure. Okay. So can you see the slide? The slide is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible now, sir.
Yeah. So we were discussing about the word plagiarism, and then I was trying to tell you about the study of David King, who is a professor of history of science, and he found out something very, very interesting, that many of the theories and models that were presented by the famous Polish astronomer Copernicus were actually taken from where belong to the Arabic scientist Ibn El Satir. Okay, and this is uh, sourced from this paper by Rabab et al. Okay, if you are interested, you can read more and more about this. So you see, this is some kind of stealing of uh, scientific ideas. But if these would have been referred to, I mean, it would have not fallen under the case of plagiarism. So this is the practice of taking someone else's work or words or ideas and passing them off as one's own. Okay? So this has happened in the historical time. Many ideas, even Marconi, who went on the Nobel Prize, is told that it was only Indian scientist J.C. Bose who basically came out with the idea first of radio waves and radio, right? Okay, so am I audible, friends?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Right. Okay, anyway. Now let us see what are the different forms of plagiarism. It is not just simple lifting. Okay. So plagiarism of ideas, number one. Theft of a new idea or a theory presented anywhere. The plagiarist then conducts research based on this idea, theory, and presents it as if it is her own without acknowledgement of the source. So if you are doing something of this kind, it will be falling into the category of plagiarism of ideas. Or you may be involved in the plagiarism of text, or people are involved. This form is also known as simple. You copy, you cut, you paste. With the computer, it is becoming very, very easy. Earlier, people have to write, but today it is very simple. You find out some text, you copy it, you cut it, you paste it, word to word. Okay? And then you claim that this is your text. This occurs when the researcher takes an entire paragraph from another source and includes it in his own research writing. Self-plagiarism. This occurs when a researcher uses substantial part of his research in two different publications. So we have told about it earlier also, self-plagiarism. Using the same findings or illustrations without referring to it. Okay? Many of these things are happening nowadays. Collusion. Asking someone else to write a piece of work for the plagiarist who then presents it as if it's his own. We also call this as ghost writing. Okay? Patch writing. Copying parts of another's work and changing a few words or the order of words to make it appear as if it is original. So these are the various kinds of plagiarism that people practice or get involved in. So one have to be careful. Okay. So this is once again to emphasize the use of another author's language, thoughts, ideas, or expressions, and or the representations of them as one's own original work without crediting the source. This is what we call as plagiarism. Now, can you read the title of this paper? Hello, friends. Can you read the title of this paper?
Yes,
Dr.
yes.
Sharma?
Evidence of two-point human embryonic stem cell.
Pluripotent human embryonic stem cell derived from a clone blastocyte. Okay, see, I forgot to ask about the background of the faculty over here. I believe these are all multidisciplinary group. This is a multidisciplinary group. Anyway, so you should not be bothered about the technical terms in this paper. What is a pluripotent human embryonic stem cell? What is a blastocyte? Just focus that this is a title of a paper, okay, which was published in Science. Okay, now this is the person, Woo Suk Wang, okay, who is the lead author and as a full team available over here. He gave some kind of report here, uh, which was which got published in a important journal and one of the most famous journal of science. Okay, and then 2006, you see it is marked on the paper retracted. Okay, that means this paper has been found to have certain anomalies, gross misconduct. Okay, authors have practiced some kind of scientific misconduct, and this paper has to be withdrawn, right? And it is written, see last page. So at the last page, in the electronic copy of this editor-in-chief, Donald Kennedy, he is writing a note on the retraction. Why this paper was retracted. So here you can read the entire report here, the final report from the investigation committee of Seoul National University. This is the university where Woo Suk Wang was working, and he was given huge funds by the government to develop a world-class stem cell laboratory. He is basically a veterinarian. So it was reported that he is doing scientific misconduct, and then investigation was ordered, and the university constituted a committee which investigated and find out two papers published in Science. Both of these papers published in Science. This is the paper Huang by Huang et al. Published in 2004, and this is the paper by Huang et al. Published in 2005. Okay, he was considered as one of the most leading researcher of stem cell at that point of time. So here in these two papers, committee found out that they have engaged in research misconduct, and that the papers contain fabricated data. With regard to Huang, the investigation committee reported that the data showing, okay, this is technical. I will not go into detail of these technicalities because it may be boring to some of you or it may be difficult to some of you. But it is there. Those who are from this field, you can always study this. So you see that what the committee found out is that Huang and his group have engaged in research misconduct, and the papers published in 2004 and 2005, these two papers contain fabricated data. Now, this is important. As we post this retraction, 7 of the 15 authors of Huang et al. Have agreed to retract their paper. Some of the people are not agreeing. They are telling, no, this is not fabricated. Okay, they are very stubborn about it. All of the authors of Huang et al. Have agreed to retract their paper. Okay, see, this 2004 paper, only 7 out of the 15 agreed. This paper is wrong. It is having fabricated data. So, in case of the 2005 paper, all the authors agreed. I mean, there's no any doubt about it. This magazine is writing, or editor-in-chief on behalf of the journal Science, which is a very prestigious journal. Science regrets the time that the peer reviewers and others spent evaluating these papers, as well as the time and resources that the scientific community may have spent trying to replicate these results. So many people were trying to conduct similar experiments. So scientists regretting that we published such a bad quality paper, fabricated paper, and it has wasted reviewers' time. It has wasted the time of the scientific community and also the resources while they are trying to replicate this results. So this is the outcome or when you go for scientific misconduct. This is what I want to tell you. Not only the retraction, this guy was also taken to court by some people, and then he was convicted. See this news after 3 years since published 2004, after 5 years 2005, after 4 years, this court found out that he was responsible. But as reported by this committee, that he has engaged in research misconduct. The court found out that because the legal process is something different, but they found out that there was no any fraud involved in the paper. But then the guy has actually embezzled a lot of government money, which he had taken for conducting the research. He was spending for his own good or own benefit, and also he has breached the bioethics. So here, research ethics, in certain terms, when it applies to biological research, also some of the terms are referred to as bioethics, mostly with relation to animal ethics or human subject ethics. Or okay, so I'm not going to read the entire news for you, but you can see he was actually sentenced to 2 years in prison. Okay, so this is the outcome. Anyway, so now there is another story regarding the reproduction of genetically engineered, gene edited humans in China recently. I thought since this is very recent news, many of you know about that. He Jiankui, he edited the genome of human to make it resistance against HIV. Okay, so no, but that's a very controversial story, because in a country like China, it is not easy to conduct such research without the authorities' knowledge. But later on, the authorities found or they told that he has actually violated all ethical principles and conducted the research on his own, and he was jailed. So these are various things, two facets. But I thought the second case is okay. I mean, this one is very, very interesting or important case you should know, right? Now, what's happening right back in India is something very, very annoying. So these are some of the stories which made a lot of headlines last year. This year, of course, the only headline is COVID and COVID and COVID all the time. So here you see a lot of scientific misconduct was reported, particularly in the CSIR labs. Not only CSIR labs, many universities, okay, of national importance institutions. So finally, CSI has to, and there was a big public hue and cry, a lot of negative, things which came into people public mind, and then finally, CSIR has to, order a probe, okay, and also for the first time, guidelines new guidelines were drafted to take care of this scientific misconduct. Okay, so this is a tweet by Sekhar Mande, the DG CSIR. He is writing in the tweet, statement of scientific misconduct in CSIR laboratories and interim action. Would like to assure everyone that the matter is under active consideration and request all for patience and understanding, and marking these to various principals, scientists, scientific advisor, Government of India, CSI India, INSA Academy, DST, DBT, and so on. Okay. So here, this is the news on 3rd September 2019. So basically, here the following 3 actions were done. The specific allegations made in the media are being probed, and the committee is in the final stage of the investigation. It will then submit its reports to Monday. A separate committee was set up to draft new guidelines on research ethics and integrity. Okay, so today's topic, research ethics and integrity. I will upload that report, so you can actually read that small document of around 22 pages. Very important. So whatever I have missed, it's a very big topic. Okay, but this report is very nicely written and very small also. I think it will be very helpful to all of you to really follow these guidelines on research ethics and integrity. I thought it would be very boring to copy that report and present it here as a slide, which I would have done easily, but rather I will give it to you to study and you know, understand on your own. I wanted to just give you some kind of basic foundation and also bring in front of you the various dimensions. What is research misconduct, and what will happen if you commit research misconduct, and so on. So the third is, while a conflict of interest policy already exists, a new practice has been put in place. Anyone who attends a CSI committee meeting must sign a conflict of interest statement and adhere to it. So these are some of the developments in India regarding scientific ethics and integrity. Okay, research ethics and integrity, and this is the CSI guidelines for ethics in research and also in governance. Okay, how the institutes will govern them, how an organization will govern their scientists, and these are the various things which are covered in this 22-page report. You have a preamble over there. What is scientific misconduct? It is defined here. And then this number 3 is very important, good science practices. So some of the things I told you over there, one of the things is the documentation, proper documentation, you have to do that. Other things I miss to deal here is the gender issues, but of course, certain biases against caste community and other things I mentioned over here. And how do you deal with misconduct? Somebody in the organization has been found to commit scientific misconduct. How do you deal with it? So all the guidelines are available in this report. Types of reports and related documents covered under this umbrella. Then issues related to intellectual property, which I discussed in brief to you. Ethics in government and conflict of interests. Other recommendations, then personal ethics, and so on. Then whistleblowers and his/her identity and protection. So the persons who raise these issues, that this guy has conducted research misconduct, he is a whistleblower, and how he has to be protected, and how whistleblowing has to be promoted, so that the quality of science is intact, or the level of science being done is raised. Okay, so with this, I probably about to come to the end of this presentation. So this is a very famous saying by Jimi Hendrix. I have been imitated so well, I have heard people commit my mistakes. So this is what happens when somebody steals or copies somebody else without knowing the basic concept behind it. You're not only copying the thing, but you're also copying the mistakes of the person. Okay, thank you, all of you. So if there is some kind of queries,
Thank you very much,
one by one. Yeah. So I will now upload the. Shall I upload the document right now, or I will have the discussion first and then upload it later? Yes, I will have discussion first and then upload it later, or whatever you suggest. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words and worthy information about this topic. Now, shall we move towards to question answer round, sir? I have few questions with me from participants. Shall I?
Sure. Sure, please go ahead.
Sir, first question is, elaborate about self-plagiarism with any example.
Elaborate about?
Self-plagiarism.
Oh, self-plagiarism. Okay, self-plagiarism.
Yes, sir.
So I would like to know also the name of the person who raises the question. So this gives you opportunity to know, the participants.
Okay. So the name of
Yeah, yeah.
the person is Mr. Kushag Agrawal.
Okay, Agarwal. Okay, right. So what is self-plagiarism? Okay, before I explain, I explained it in the presentation. Maybe we can get the answer from some of the participants over here. Anybody in this group who can briefly tell what is self-plagiarism?
Yes, my point of view for this is, suppose I have written a paper, and while writing another paper of mine, and I have copied the contents of my first paper, that is self-plagiarism.
Exactly, exactly. So it may be full sometimes, or it may be part, right? Self-plagiarism may be full, complete, and sometimes it may be part plagiarism. So basically, as Mr. Jain, Tarang Jain was telling, you have published a paper, right? Now, what you are doing, you are modifying the paper to some extent somehow, and then you are again publishing it under a different name in another journal, or maybe in the same journal, okay? And then this is the text plagiarism, okay? So I can actually probably go to the types of plagiarism here. So you may also do image plagiarism, right? So here you are using here not only the same findings. So this is visible, right? The slide is visible. Self plagiarism slide is visible.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
So here, no, you're not only using the text, but sometimes you may not use the text. Okay, but what we are using, some gel pictures, or I will not tell gel pictures because I don't know this is a biology group or not. Say you have some photograph of some data, some kind of experimentation you have a photograph. So that photograph you are modifying in some way. You are maybe making it, maybe turning it 180 degree or something like that, or cutting, copying, pasting, and that illustration you are using in another article and maybe even another context. So these are all practices of self plagiarism, right? And thank you, uh, uh, Jane, right, Mrs. Jane, for helping me in answering this question by Agarwal. Question was by Agarwal, yes, right? Yeah, maybe the next question. Dr. Sarma, what is the next question? Am I audible?
Sir, how to avoid plagiarism in writing scientific papers?
Oh, very difficult. Honesty, I will tell you, be honest. Number one. See, plagiarism is very, very complex also in a way. See, you are sometimes, you have to write the introduction and review of literature, right? So it may happen that your data is yours. You are not stealing your data from anybody else. But in the introduction and review of literature part, you need to give a, uh, settings, background of the entire work that you are going to describe. So in this connection, you have to refer to the already existing body of work. And while doing so, you basically have to rely on the reports by earlier researchers, right? There is no any escape from that. There is no alternative to do that. And if you do something else, then it is not review of literature, right? But while you are doing the review of literature, you have to be very careful how much to copy, and even if you copy, how to express it in your own words, right? So there are certain publication houses, they may object that you are using more than this many number of words continuously. So you may need to read those guidelines to manipulate, right? But I am suggesting these only for the review of literature part. I am not telling you do this to your main body of work, do this to your results and discussions or your methods. That has to be genuine. Okay, no plagiarism should be there. Of course, methods is quite complex, difficult. Sometimes the methods are standard, right? So you may have to use a method which has been used by another person in another paper, okay? But even then, you should be careful to reword those sentences so that somebody, the plagiarism software will not will detect it, that these content has been plagiarized. So you have to, it's a rather a matter of practice and also study how to avoid this kind of plagiarism. Okay, so am I clear about this?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So the next question is, sometimes we manipulate primary data for quality research outcomes. Is it really
Pardon me?
ethical?
Pardon
Sometimes,
me?
sometimes we manipulate primary data for
Yes.
quality research outcomes. Is it really ethical, and how it affect integrity?
No, the very hypothesis or the very premise that you are manipulating primary data for quality research outcome is wrong. Okay, that very principle is wrong. You cannot manipulate primary data, and that will not give you quality publication. That is research misconduct. Try to understand that. Is it clear?
Thank you, sir. It's clear.
Yeah.
Sir, next question is from one of our research scholar, Ms.
Yes.
Walia.
Yes.
Question is, will it be considered plagiarism if I copy the quotes of an author and cite him or her properly?
No. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. You have to. So that's why you have the quotation marks, right? So even in say certain TV discussions and presentations, the anchor will be telling quote, then he will repeat the quote, and then he will tell unquote, right? So between this quote and unquote, you have to unquote, you have to exactly tell what the original author was telling. Otherwise, it will be a misrepresentation of fact. If you what do you call it? Edit or manipulate something in between these quotes, then that will be misrepresentation of fact. In fact, that is some kind of a, again, what do you call it, falsification, right? But the thing is that how many quotes you are going to use? Your entire paper will be not full of quotes, right? One or two quotes here or there you will be using, either in the beginning or in the ending, or maybe somewhere in between, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Yeah.
So
Next.
last question is with me.
Yes.
How we should divide a single work into various papers without breaking the ethics of publication?
See, how do you? I mean, why do you? Number one, why do you want to do that? I will reply that question. But the person who raised this question, I would like to ask him, why do you want to break a single piece of work into multiple papers? What is the purpose of doing that? Can you answer that?
Sir, I think maybe, as per my perception, maybe to increase the
Pardon me?
number of publications. I think my perception only.
What's that? Can I know?
Sir, myself, Arvind Sharma. My perception, moderator. My perception.
I missed that. I missed that. What is that? What is the reason why the single piece
Sir,
of
it
work
may be
is
the
being
case.
broken into multiple?
It may be the case. The person want multiple publications. It may be the case.
So that's wrong. He should not do that for that purpose. But there are other valid reasons. If you can give a valid reason, I will be able to answer that. If your purpose is to increase the number of your score, how many runs you have scored in your cricket match, this is a wrong thing to do. You should report a single piece of work in one single manuscript. It should be complete, right? But there are other valid reasons for which you may need to break down your work into parts. So the person who raised this question, if he can tell me the reason why he is doing that, I will be in a better position to answer it.
So the person is not available, I think, with us in Google Meet, maybe on YouTube. So I think he will not able to converse
Okay.
right now.
Okay, let me make some assumption. Okay, let me make some assumption. Okay, then, right. So number one, what the other assumption was that he want to increase the number of papers. That's why he want to break a single piece of work into multiple papers. That is unethical. That is research misconduct. Let us not do that. Let us try to publish a single piece of work as a single piece of manuscript. Okay. Now, it may happen sometimes that you have done extensive research work, on a single on a particular hypothesis. Okay, and then it's voluminous work. You have huge experimental data, right? And then many of these data actually need to be communicated to the readers or the audience, right? Now, there are various circumstances. Number one, if you write a very long article, it will take a long time for the reviewers to really go through it, right? Because he has a lot of data which the reviewers need to do the data crunching properly and understand how good the evidence being presented over there, and whether that has been discussed properly in context or out of context, and whether the conclusions drawn out from this data and the evidence is perfect or not, right? There is always a competition by other rival groups to publish faster. Okay, so by the time your paper gets published, it may be all news or all information. Now there are short communications or rapid publications in this case, where your review, your paper, your concept can get published, your results can publish very quickly. But these kind of journals, they have limitations of words or pages. They may give you only 2 pages, or even in certain cases only 1 pages, or maximum 4 pages to communicate your ideas. So in this case, you make short communications, right? And you present your important things over there just to win the race with your competitors. But then towards the end, you write the detailed publication is being communicated to somewhere or is being compiled, right? So in that case, when you will be publishing the next part of the paper, okay, or the complete paper, you will always put a reference of the earlier work. That see these few things from this work has been reported in this short communication earlier. So this is some kind of acceptable practice in scientific research, and I believe it is also applicable in social science research, in which I am not much aware of. So this is what is my assumption based on which I am giving you this answer. So if the questioner would have put me the exact circumstances due to which he want to divide the single piece of work into multiple papers, maybe I would have been able to respond in a better way. Yeah, thank you. So any other questions, please?
Thank you very much, sir. There is no more question in chat box as well. So thank you very much for joining us and providing us such a.
So was this in presentation useful to the participants? I would like to have a a small feedback or
Okay.
what would have been
Participant.
what would have been added more.
Actually, sir, participants are in chat box. They are speaking about the presentation. It's good, and I think it is quite informative for everyone. Thank you, sir, for joining us today and providing us such a worthy knowledge about this about this topic, which is quite helpful for every research scholars and all the faculty members who are doing research in their particular areas. Now, sir, I would like to invite all the participants. Please switch on your camera so that we can take a very good photograph with the guest of today, Utpal Bora ji. So can you do that?
Yes. Nice. So yes, 1 minute, please.
Okay, sir. Kindly, sir, unpresent.
Yes. Am I visible?
Sir, actually, your presentation is visible. So kindly stop the presentation. So.
Oh, I will stop. I will stop the presentation. Okay, I'll stop the presentation. Yes.
Yes, sir. Now you
Nice.
are very well visible. So I request all
you.
the participants, please start your camera so that we can take a very nice, good group photograph.
So Dr. Sharma kindly send it to me, and I take this opportunity to actually thank Professor Adish Saini, who actually forced me to give this presentation in spite of so many other things. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Adish, and also the organizing team.
Sir, thank you very much for joining. Sir, announcement for tomorrow is for all the participants. Tomorrow session will be started at 11 a.m. sharp.
Okay, thank you and bye bye all of you.
Okay. And topic for tomorrow is avenue of offering consultancy services to industry. It will be delivered by Dr. Mani Madhukar from IBM Research, IBM Noida. So be with us tomorrow at 11 sharp. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.